Before we get started tonight, ladies and gentlemen, another episode here to Fast Break, live on IE Sports Radio. I want to talk to y'all about the last 8 years of the company. For the last 8 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports leaders around the country. All the while, we've been continuing to be by the fans for the fans, and with their help, we're ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iSportsRadio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starting at $5 a month. This donation gets you shout-outs on all 32 of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio, merchandise, access to our podcast and university, and even a chance to be featured on our segment, our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all for very much to continue to make IE Sports Radio your direct free for all your sports. I want to shout out to our 4 Patreon member supporters. Bay Area Rays, Marcus, Los, great show tonight, brother. Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. Thank you for making our 8th anniversary special, and here's many more years to come. On to the show. On tonight's broadcast, we discuss the controversial ending between the Boston Celtics and the LA Lakers. Did the Lakers get hosed? And plus, did the Lakers kind of just gave up at overtime? We'll discuss that. The New Orleans Pelicans and Memphis Grizzlies. 2 young teams, 2 teams on the slide. We'll see if they can bounce back, or is this like a sign of things to come for both teams. Plus, Chris Paul trade rumor news. Could he be on the move for the right price? Plus, we'll go over the SEC Big 12 Challenge with the Big 12 coming on top. And we'll discuss that and much more here on Fast Break, live on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed that is always sports, and you're welcome to join us. Joining us actually shout out tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Lots to talk about, lots to get into tonight. It's championship weekend in the NFL, but it's still basketball to discuss, and we're in the thick of it, a conference play. You know, we're getting close to the NBA trade deadline with the All-Star break looming. Real quick, Terry Rodriguez, there should be no concern with UCLA, to be honest with you. And then USC, I think they both in the same boat. There should be no concern for both, if we're being real about that. But D-Lock, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Just get back on. The show got a lot to talk about, especially with how games are going and one of the biggest calls that called the game yesterday. So very interesting.
Yeah, we'll hop right into it. LA, Boston last night. I didn't fully watch the whole game, I'll be honest with you. I was watching the Royal Rumble last night. I was somewhat in deep to that, and then I look up, okay, the game's going back and forth, so I had to turn to the game. And boy, how you would describe that call, that non-call that LeBron got at the end of regulation? D-Lock, how you describe that? And
well, for me, I'll call it one of the biggest bogus calls I've ever seen in my life, in all sports. It was clear that it was a foul. Now, not because it was LeBron, but clearly you see the foul from Jason Tatum. Now this game was going back and forth. Now that, especially with Anthony Davis, who actually started off the bench this game, um, they hung in with Boston. I mean, I think Boston was like on a 3-game losing streak, and they were. I mean, I think, not mistaken, the Lakers won the second quarter, 27-20. Basically locked up with them the first quarter, 27, 28 point wise, and then tied up with them on the fourth quarter with 24 points, even. Now, it came down to the wire. As always, for you Laker fans, expect for Russ to do Russ things. That's going to happen. And that happened as always. And the Lakers were still in the fight with Boston. So for me, I think that, that call cost a lot in the game. Now, a lot of people are looking at LeBron like, damn, that was a crazy reaction. But I can understand because that call alone, last play of the fourth quarter, to determine the victory for the Lakers. So for me, I just, at first when I first seen it, you usually hear anytime a player misses a shot, they always have a response, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
They always kind of say, "Oh, it was a foul," X, Y, and Z. So that's the first thought that clicked in my mind, like, and we already know what LeBron is known for with the flopping and all that. So
yeah,
at first I'm thinking like, okay, damn, maybe he's tripping. But then when they slowed it down, it was clear that it was a major foul, big time foul, where neither one of those refs should have missed that. There's just no way in hell that you missed that call. And when you have a player like Patrick Beverly on your team, he's going to take the response to the extreme, which is what he did. Took the camera to the ref, showed it was a foul. Boom, that's a tech going into overtime. So I seen at that point, I just told you before, at that point, I felt like the Lakers the momentum had shifted. And you can see it when the overtime even started. They kind of fought back, but the momentum had already started. Boston. But that call, I think that definitely cost the game in my mind. I just felt like LeBron, who's not a great free throw shooter, would have made at least one ball game in my eyes. And now we have a different look on this. So but I think it's a big bogus call. LeBron's still with 41 points. Hell, what is he? 120? I think it's 128 games points behind Kareem now.
Mm-hmm.
So he's basically gonna break it within the next couple games. I say he's gonna break it probably either against New Orleans or it's gonna be against OKC right before they play Milwaukee. If he plays, throughout this game he doesn't sit. So, but for me again, I think the Lakers are they're starting to play very well now that before Anthony Davis come back, but now he's back. This Lakers team is looking pretty decent. Now, you get your main crew back. Hachimura is going to play a big part. Now you're going to need Russ just to calm down with some of the few mistakes. I don't even think he played any in the fourth quarter. So
he did a little bit. It's just overtime, man. It's just like I texted you, it's like, damn, dude, just like stupid stuff he does sometimes. It's like sometimes, like I say, I texted you like he does too much at times, at the wrong times, trying to make something out of nothing. Like sometimes you can't create something to make something happen. Sometimes, yeah, in NBA, yeah, you can. In basketball, yeah, you can, but you can't do it all the time. And that's what kind of drove me nuts about Westbrook and stuff like that. And maybe ponder why Lonnie Walker's not out there. He's back in the fold. Why Huchamara is not out there. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, Darvin Ham, just like the lineups at times he has, this is like kind of questioning.
Right. And I think that's what he has to figure out. Bringing somebody else into the fold like Hachimura. You have to really um, get your lineup and rotations right. But Russ is going to be Russ. Now, we'll talk about a trade deadline, but we're also hearing different rumors about who the Lakers are going to push. I believe the trade deadline is less than 2 weeks away.
Yep.
Um, there are a couple people that they may approach. I think you just brought up. We'll talk about it. Chris Paul later. Hearing that Zach LaVine is also a target as well. So there's a couple guys that teams are gonna look for and teams are trying to trade. But for me, I just like what the Lakers are doing. I feel like they're starting to get in a good groove, but now they have to close out games. And part of closing out games is what rotation you put out there, the guys that you put out there, and also, again, some of these things that Russ is doing is not. That's like that is breaking the Lakers' heart. At the end, that's killing the momentum. So, granted, like I said, I feel like the game yesterday was more so about that foul. Once that happened, I think that just killed the whole momentum for them. But I like what I see with them moving forward, but that call was clearly a bogus call.
Yeah, I thought the call was bogus as well. I was just like, come on now. I know they're playing in Boston, and if you're a Laker fan, 2 places on the road you really don't like playing at is no call Utah and Boston. And for LeBron not to get that call, and I know at times LeBron feel like he gets fouled every time and all that good stuff. But in this instance, yeah, he deserved the call there. And the fact he didn't get it, I don't know if that played into his psyche in the overtime period, because the team just wasn't in the overtime period. Let's be real about that, ladies and gentlemen. They were not into that overtime period. I was like Jeff Van Gundy brought the point during the broadcast. This very lackadaisical, not getting back on the floor on defense, stuff like that. Not pushing the ball, not using your time wisely and all that stuff. Got them beat. And, that's why they're where they at in the standings. At certain points in the season, they look pretty good. Every time, like stuff like this, you see why they're 12th in the standings and struggling and all that stuff. And then, like the Terry Rodriguez brought up, the Patrick Beverly attack, unwarranted. And even the league put out a statement today, yeah, that LeBron should have got a call on that. Too little, too late. In which I understand the league, going out and confirming and make and crowd, admitting to their mistakes, but game's over. Ain't nothing they can do to replay it.
Yeah, there's nothing that you can do about that. Just know. But you gonna give him a victory now?
Yeah, you can't do that. But Anthony Davis coming off the bench again. Him 16-10. Slowly getting back into some things. He won't play tomorrow night in Brooklyn. Him and LeBron. Don't know why, but they're not playing tomorrow night. Hopefully they play Tuesday when they play the Knicks, but they're not playing tomorrow night. So, I think it's a good opportunity to see who Jamar, see what he can bring to the table in the starting lineup, see what we can do, all that stuff, and maybe ease him to that third or fourth scoring option for this team that desperately needs it. Because Troy Brown, I think he's been given ample opportunity to be a starter, but he really hasn't grasped it. Lonnie Walker back in the fold. We'll see. He'll get to start tomorrow. Austin Reed's still out. But I think this team probably needs at least one more move if they're gonna try and make a push for the playoffs. I don't know what deal is out there. We've seen the deal of Miles Turner getting the signing extension with the Pacers. So I don't know. I'm not saying he still can be traded, but that move with the Pacers on itself maybe off the table. So I don't know what else they can do. Just hope some of these injured guys come back and play strong, get Anthony Davis' legs under him, and go about that way. But no way they should have lost this game. It shouldn't with the OT in the first place. And they played late in the fourth quarter into overtime. It should never got to that point. And yes, I know Tatum and Brown had 37-30 apiece. But also, if you're the Lakers, you can't allow Malcolm Brogdon to have 26 points on you off the bench. You can't allow that. And with those guards like Westbrook, Schroeder, and Beverly, even Troy Brown, Garden, you can't allow that at all. All right. You can't allow that. If he averages like his 14 points like he has this season, then you win this game. So we'll see the Lakers play better. Like you mentioned about Boston, they snap this little bit of skid. Next game for them, I'm pulling up right now. It's on February the 1st against the Nets. And, there's reports out there of the Nets that they're looking for a backup big. They got a backup big on the bench, but they choose not to play him. But, besides the point. But can the Celtics get a little streak going back going? You got the Nets on the 1st. The Suns on the 3rd, who kind of like on spinning backwards right now. You got the Pistons on the 6th. Sixers on the 8th, and the Hornets on the 10th. So the next 5 games I just laid out for the Celtics. If you ain't going 5-0 there, I don't know what to say. No worse than 4-1. And with Philly playing a little bit better, Cleveland kind of like a hot and cold type of thing right now. Indiana kind of on a little backside themselves. Now, granted, Washington wasn't 5 straight, but I don't think they ain't scared nobody. So, if you're Boston, this is your chance to kind of put yourself ahead of the pack of everybody else in the next few games. Including beating Philly in that stretch.
Correct. That stretch is going to be good for them. Like I said, having this win is indeed needed. Now, like I said, you have to get along to where you're going to have some teams that are going to, in the East. But like I said, you do have the Nets coming up, Suns, Pistons, Philly, as you said. We'll get to it. One of the most disappointing teams for me is Charlotte, but them and then Memphis. So you've got your few teams that you should be able to get your streak going. So I expect them to get the ball rolling because looking at the Suns, Sixers, Memphis, and then you got the big one with Milwaukee right after that.
Yeah. And then, you head to All-Star break. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to Marcus Los. Great. How you doing today, sir? Great show today earlier. Marcus is saying about Philly, D-Lock, that he's saying Philly, it's like they're missing a 3-point shooter. Do you agree with that assessment?
That they're missing a 3-point shooter?
Let's see. Let me pull it up. Yeah, he says Philly, I feel like they are missing a 3-point shooter. I mean,
I agree. One of the main reasons because they had Seth Curry. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure NBA fans have been seeing it, but Seth Curry had a hell of a game. I think a few games ago,
yeah.
and he's starting to get the clicking, shooting wise with Kevin Durant out. So for me, I haven't seen too much good shooting from Philly outside of James Harden. Cork Miles hasn't done too much off the bench. Anthony Melton is pretty decent, hasn't done too much, and Tyrese Maxey hasn't been like outstanding. So I think that indeed they do need some more 3-point shooters. I think they might try to go approach one, but PJ Tucker hasn't done nothing. So for me, I basically agree with that. They can get some more out of some of the shooters that they have, but getting another shooter probably is what they're gonna try to move on.
Yeah, it's like towards the end of last year and stuff like that, they like we seen even by before free agency or even before the draft happened. Like there was like reports saying like PJ Tucker to the 76ers like basically done. And you figure, okay, you get a little tougher defensively and stuff like that. A guy that can hit the corner three, all that stuff. But you alluded to, like, it's like points in times at games that he puts a goose egg up on the scoring board. And as good as Joel Embiid is and James Harden is scoring the ball, and Tyrese Maxey when he's healthy scoring, you need a little bit more before you start. I forgot about Tobias Harris, but you need a little bit more scoring. And yeah, the shooting kind of lack right now. The Anthony Melton, I thought he'd be better than what he presented to be, but it hasn't really popped up. Daniel House, at times he's been okay, but disappeared. What's that dude's name? Gorey Niang. At times it seems like to me he just shows up against like the more bigger teams, in my opinion. Like the more popular teams. I mean, other times you expect him to play against like the Thunder, he'll do nothing. So yeah, I can see where Mark is coming from. I think they need at least like another shooter. I'm trying to think with the rumors coming about. I forgot who was available, but I know the Hornets are trying to sell off assets. So wait and see, what Dallas does because they kind of looking for help and they got some guys that they probably need to offload. Hell, maybe go out there like a Tim Hardaway or something like that. Go about that way. I don't know. But Philly, I think for right now, unless they, have a change of heart at the 11th hour, I don't think they do nothing at this moment. And kind of, depend on those guys I just named out, like House, Melton, Niang, to kind of, carry that load. But I'll let you have the last one on that.
Yeah, and I think right now, getting a shooter is what they need to focus on. But they had one at Seth Curry. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he lit their ass up at home. A couple games ago. So, for me, I feel like this is going to be a difference in how far they go, how deep they go in the playoffs. But it's going to be some pieces out there. You know how it is during the trade deadline. Hell, some teams just trade pieces just to be a part of the trade deadline. They're trading players just to trade somebody. So I think that there's a possibility that Philly may grab somebody. They definitely need, another shooter there. Because right now, that's the lack.
Yeah, and speaking, teams, D-Lock, that, kind of have gone on a little slide here lately. Uh, the New Orleans Pelicans and the Memphis Grizzlies. Both of these teams have lost 5 games for the Memphis Grizzlies, 7 games for the Pelicans. Now, granted, losing all those games, they have, still staying afloat in their positions. Memphis is still second in the West, just 2 games behind the Denver Nuggets. New Orleans still fifth. That's about half game ahead of Minnesota right now. Is there a cause concern, D-Lock, for if you're a fan of Memphis and New Orleans? Is there a cause of concern that your squads have lost 5+ games in a row at the moment?
To be honest with you, so I believe they have, go to it really quick, they started this losing streak against the Lakers.
Yeah.
For those who remember, that's when Shannon and Dylan Brooks, John Morant's dad got into it. They've been on a losing streak since, and that's been away. So they, right now, are looking like a team that just struggle when they're away now. They beat Charlotte, as I talked about, it's not a good team right now. Away, they beat Orlando away, beat Indiana away. They're showing some of the games that they won previously that are not playoff contending teams. Now we run into Lakers, who are not necessarily playoff contending teams just yet, but they got the pieces. Phoenix, we know what they are. Sacramento, one of the surprising teams. Then they whooped their ass in that game. Golden State, as we know, and Minnesota. Cause of concern for them when they play away. I mean, can I expect them to play as consistent as they do at home? So, if this team doesn't get that home court advantage throughout the playoffs with that 1 seed, I would be very concerned in that case. Now, granted, I said last year, remember I said, well, this team is young. I couldn't trust them last year. Now they're a year in. I believe that this team should get it together at this point with all the pieces that they do have. The inconsistency of Desmond Bain is playing a huge part. Dylan Brooks, has his days where he decides to play, and some days where he just fouls out, or he's just not non-existent at the time. So the biggest concern that I have is that they're letting these teams score over 105 points, over 110 points. Against the Lakers, Lakers scored 102. Against the Suns, 112. Against the Kings, 133 damn points. Golden State 122 and Minnesota 111. They are not playing good defense. And for them to have the defenders that they so-called have in Steven Adams and Dylan Brooks, Jared Jackson, these guys, they're not playing good defense. So that's the more so concern that I have. If they can get that right, get the ball rolling, and right now they are playing Indiana, who is another team that is a fast-paced. Well, actually, they did play them earlier today. A fast-paced team. Under 105, 110, that you're solid now. But we are talking about the Pacers, who just signed Miles Turner to a deal, but they don't look that because they're away.
Yeah, D-Log, I could barely hear you on that. Your phone was going in and out.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Um. Oh wow. So for me, like I said, I just feel like the biggest concern for me is the fact that they're losing games away. They're not the same team when they're away. They look like a totally different team. Um, you have losses, 5 straight losses away. Come back and beat Indiana at home, but you're giving up over 110 points a game in these losses. The biggest one is that ass opener they got against Sacramento when they gave up 133 points. So I want to see how this game against Cleveland, February 2nd, is going to look at Cleveland. And I expect them to play a hell of a lot better on that. But that's the main concern that I have about this losing streak is the fact that it's away. If they can fix that, then I think they'll be fine. But that's the biggest thing. Dylan Brooks disappears from time to time. And having this 5 away game streak, or losing game streak, is definitely playing a huge part for me. Because they don't get their number one seed, look like they're going to be in trouble. Now, it looks like in March, at some point, they got at Houston, at Denver, at LA, twice back-to-back, at the Clippers and at the Lakers. That's another 4-game away that they're going to have to deal with. They can't go 0-4 in that situation. They need to take some games out of that.
Yeah. Well, as I look now, the Grizzlies did beat the Pacers 112-100 at home. Now, granted, like you just alluded to, it was at home, now on the road. So, I mean, they snapped the winning streak, but you gotta get better on the road. If you want to be a championship contending team, you got to win on the road. And the loss they had, is not a very good look. Now for today, triple-double for Ja Morant. 28 and 8 from Jaren Jackson. Okay, not bad, but you can be better. On a side note for Indiana in this loss, Buddy Hield played 34 minutes and only mustered up 3 points. Let me repeat that again. Buddy Hield plays for 34 minutes and he mustered up 3 points. And people are saying the Lakers should give up 2 future first-round picks for him and Miles Turner. Just saying. Meanwhile, Benedict Mathurin has 27 points off the bench, along with 8 rebounds and 3 assists. One less than Buddy Hield got today. We'll just keep that in mind. But anyways, great for Memphis to bounce back to win this game. Losing against Minnesota, losing against the Warriors in that 2-point loss. Losing against the Kings by 33. Losing 12 by the Suns, who still don't have Devin Booker. But you let, Torian Craig get 20 points off on you. That ain't a good look. So I hope they find some mojo, you know, with this win against Indiana. But you got a Blazers team, you know, who's so-so. They go on the road against Cleveland. And you come back home for the Raptors, Bulls, Timberwolves. Then go on the road for Boston. So we'll see, man. We'll see how Memphis can really shape up. To be honest with you, but
yeah, they need to win some of these away games. I mean, that's what I'm seeing, that they have a trend of struggling with, and it started early in the season when they lost both of them back-to-back away games against Utah.
yeah.
So now, how, like, this means it's urgent. It seems like it's urgent that they get that number 1 seed, because if not, we could be looking at a team that can not hit the expectations that they have.
And then let's go to the other side of the aisle, the New Orleans Pelicans. I don't know what to say about it's just. I know we discussed this in the past. Like, you know, we look up. You know, Brandon Ingram's out for a toe injury. C.J. McCollum's out. Herb Jones out. Zion's out. So, like, you know, at different points of the season, you know, a combination of those guys have been out. But like I alluded to about the Memphis Grizzlies, they really hadn't lose no position in their standings in the West. Now, right now, they're playing on NBA TV against the Bucks. They're losing currently to the Bucks. Can they really bounce back? Or is Zion being out kind of really, I guess, is he that main piece for this team to really contend?
So for me, I think Zion is the heart of this team. I love Brandon Ingram. Love what C.J. McCollum brings. But I think this team moves as Zion goes. And they need him bad. I mean, it seems like with him, they are a different team. And it clearly shows. So for me, it's nothing. They're gonna need to get him to get back to where they need to. Because right now, it just seems like, what is this? They're gonna be their ninth. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is gonna be their 8th loss if they lose in Milwaukee.
Yep.
So they're not clicking like they're like. The main guy that gets them rolling is definitely, he's out. It's definitely making a huge impact. And for me, like I said, I just think that with so many other guys, they're in that similar situation that I was talking about Boston was in when they had Tatum, Terry Rozier, Jaylen Brown. They got all these guys, but they're not, focusing on one guy, to be consistent and get their points from. And the reason why is because their main guy is out. As good as C.J. McCollum is, he's playing well, but I mean, he's not going to give you 30 a game. He's not going to make a huge impact like that. And on top of that, they've been missing Brandon Ingram for a long period of time as well. So it may be great for fantasy players who, go grab C.J. McCollum because he's the main guy on the team. He's taking most of the shots when these guys are out. But they're losing some of these games. Washington right now, I don't think they're that too good. And they lost to them by 10. So I think for them to get rolling, Is there a timetable? I'm not sure. Is there a timetable when Zion's going to come back? I believe last time I heard it was like a couple weeks or something like that.
I'm looking right now. I think that they say at least a month.
Right.
He was supposed to be out.
So if he's going to be out for a month, let's just say he's out for the next month. They're going to play Denver coming up, Dallas, Lakers twice, Cleveland, Atlanta, Golden State. These are the teams that they're going to run into. Toronto. So these are some tough teams that they're going to have to play. OKC is probably one of the teams that they're going to play that should be a fairly even game, but SGA is playing out of his mind right now. Him and Josh Giddey. So they're going to need to figure it out. But I think, honestly, man, for them to get back on track, they're going to need Zion. I find it very tough to see this team make that jump without him.
It's really hard. I mean, it's really hard to gauge this team if they're not fully healthy. It's really hard to say that. But even with Zion being out, you still got to compete. I mean, you got Brandon Ingram back in the fold. I mean, he had 22 points against the Wizards. Wizards team, by the way, is on a 5-game winning streak. McCollum had 24. But everybody else, Devontae Graham, 9 points. Nick Marshall, 8. Lane Nance, 8. You need more production out of your bench. They got Kyra Lewis on assignment in Birmingham with their G League team. So who knows when he be back in the fold. Valanciunas only played 9 minutes in that game. So, due to the injury, but, still, you still got to come out stronger than that. I don't know which way this team's going to head, D-Lock. Right now, they're losing to 10 to Milwaukee. Giannis already has 22 points in this first half. Middleton's come back into the fold of things. He's come off the bench. He has 7. I really don't know which way this team's going to go. Brandon Ingram's not playing tonight. Kyra Lewis, okay, he's back tonight. I didn't see that alert, but he's playing tonight. He got 7 points so far off the bench. But no Brandon Ingram tonight. No CJ McCollum. Now, granted, they're just down by 10, so that's like the good thing, I guess, so far. But they may have to shake the apple tree here at the trade deadline. For what? I don't know. We discussed the Chris Paul trade rumors. And if you want to be put over the hump, would you take a swing at Chris Paul if you're New Orleans?
Oh, I mean, get Chris Paul now. You put Steve McCullum back at the 2 guard.
Yep.
Who are you giving up?
Oh, let's see. I know he's 6 hours away from his family in North Alabama, but you give up Kyra Lewis, a nice young guard. You sell that young asset off. You give up Devontae Graham. It has been like a bust signing for you from the jump. That Lakers first round pick. Remember, folks, the Pelicans got this Lakers first round pick And in the draft, that I'm not saying you're getting franchise players, but you're getting very good quality players coming to the league if they all choose to come out. That'll be an asset I want. And then if you need to throw in more money, or you want to give another asset, maybe Dyson Daniel if you want to give up that. If not, give up Trey Murphy, and then you got to take some money back from the Suns. Maybe take back like a Landry Shamet, something like that. But I think this team, and I know Chris Paul has been hurt in and out of the lineup and stuff like that, but this team needs to shake up something.
Right.
The McCollum at point guard situation is not working out. I know they probably expected Kyle Lewis to kind of ease into that role, but the torn ACL kind of derailed things there. But why not go out to Chris Paul and see what you can do?
You can. I mean, definitely. We know what type of player Chris Paul is. I think his leadership alone, I think, puts a team into the playoff contention. He's just that kind of a player. I mean, look what he did with OKC. So, I think that leadership is huge. But my question is, what is Phoenix going to ask for in return? What are they going to take? You may have to move off of CeeDee McCollum, and if so, again, you still have to deal with the fact that Zion is not going to be there for a while. So, and it's not like Chris Paul is in his, early 20s. Like, I don't know how many years left Chris Paul actually have. So, for me, wouldn't be a bad move, but that gives me that win now mode, and which indeed they are. But you need to make that move. You got to put the right pieces. Make sure that your pieces are healthy and ready to go. And I think no matter who the Pelicans bring in or they trade for, their biggest thing that they need to have is keeping Zion healthy.
Yeah.
That's going to be the biggest thing. If they can't get him healthy or keep him healthy, they're going to run into this issue with Brandon Ingram, Chris Paul, McCollum, anybody. So they need to get that situated. Because, I mean, it seemed like it was just yesterday when he made that huge dunk. I believe against Phoenix in the regular season, and it just sent shockwaves through the league. And he said, well, they beat our team in the playoffs, and this is why I did it. So for me, that shows how big of an impact he makes on this team. So I think that is very important that we do, or the Pelicans do get him to be healthy. Hell, not to go off sidetrack, but hell, even on the video game, like they're mimicking what they see in real NBA, and the energy that Zion has on there, the health that he has is not up there, and this is showing in real life. Like he's healthy for a couple games, then he disappears. About a month, 2 months. Then he shows up for a couple games, then he disappears for about a month. So that needs to be their priority as well. That needs to be something that they need to fix.
And not only that, it's just the money that they got tied up to him. I just hate how they gave up all that. I mean, they tie up all that money with him. I mean, yes, he showed sample size what he can do, but it's like, God, you kind of go all in before he can really, really show you what he can do, and can he sustain that for the long term? That's the big thing right there. It's like, can he sustain this for the long term? And we've been discussing this for a good while. We don't know. We don't know if he can sustain for the good while. It's different in college when you're playing like 30 plus games and you get that sample size. But in the pros, it's a different animal. And we've seen from, since he's been in the league, the change of diet habit, the workout, and stuff like that. You can't do what you did in South Carolina in high school and to Duke and then think you're going to translate to the NBA. It's not going to work out like that. It's a continuous marathon. And some guys sink and swim. And the Pelicans are really, really hinging on if he can swim with them. Because let's be real, D-Lock. Chris Paul's up there in age. We don't know when he's going to retire. LeBron's up there in age. We don't know how long he can sustain his, ability. Anthony Davis, another person, in and out of lineups. Jimmy Butler, mid-30s. Durant, he's around our age, mid-30s. So, you look around the league, there ain't too many other young guys you can put on this level, maybe except for John Morant and Luka Doncic and Devin Booker and terrific two up in Boston. So there's a chance that they can make some noise, but he's got to be the one in the forefront. You can sell off Ingram and McCollum, but if you got Zion nice and healthy and can carry the load, then you're good to go. But I'll let you have the last word on that.
Yeah, I definitely, like I said, I think that the biggest deal with Zion is the health. But the Pelicans just need to, like you said, they need to find a way to get it done. And you're in the West, so you have to find a way to get things rolling. Like I said, right now, you're going to go against Denver on Tuesday. Then you got Dallas, then the Lakers and Sacramento, then the Hawks, then Cleveland. So you don't have time to sit here and say, well, damn, Zion is not here, so we're just gonna. They gotta find a way to get this right, and they gotta get rolling soon, because they start time. I think these other teams are gonna start to creep up, and the chemistry, you know how it is when teams start to lose, the chemistry starts to go down, and a lot of questions. So the potential is there with this team. They just need to get it done. They still got Herb Jones. Brandon Ingram is just not coming back. You still got CJ McCollum. You got hell of a pieces over there. Jonas Valanciunas. You got a lot. Just find a way to get victories, and then when Zion come back, that helps out a lot. Just a bonus piece.
Yeah, like we mentioned real quick in the standings, Minnesota has come up a little bit, and this is without Karl Anthony Towns playing at that. So make that as you will. Before I got the air, Golden State, they kind of creeping up. They still having their road struggles, but they kind of creeping. Dallas is kind of taking a little slide along with Phoenix. Utah is kind of like where we expect them to be at. They had like a fast start to the season. Now after that, you got OKC, Portland, and Lakers, and San Antonio and Houston. I think you just keep them where they at. So, other than that, I think if Pelicans get things right back in order and keep it where they at, I think they'd be okay. But the Clippers back with Kawhi back in the fold, that's a tough one. Sacramento as well, playing strong basketball this year. And the Nuggets, when everybody's healthy and, going and they're playing beautiful basketball, spreading the court and all that stuff, they're a real fun team to watch. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us. D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
You guys find me at Black-813. My Magic have been playing pretty well recently, so I'll be tweeting about them, especially with Bobo doing what he's doing.
let them know they can find it in the page, the show's page.
You can find the show's page at Fast Break at IESR. That's Fast Break IESR. Also, do follow iSportsRadio.com. Go to the website. Also, do follow iSports Radio on all social media platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Do follow us there. Also, check out iSportsRadio.com for latest show news and feeds. A lot of new people showing up in networks. A lot of shows coming back into the fall and season. So do keep up with iSportsRadio.com for related news as well. Also, I got a Twitter account, Spawn4288, Spawn4288. Do check me out on there. I do another show on the side called The Crooks Process. You can follow that show account on Facebook and Instagram. I do a lot of short videos on there. Do follow me on there. But until then, next time, ladies and gentlemen, next week will be like a day with the NFL. So a lot more people focus on basketball. But until then, we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.